Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so today I did a very last minute international podcast. It was fun. It was a podcast I've been on before about, I think it was 2 years ago. It's someone called What's Up Canada is the name of his channel. It's pretty much everywhere on YouTube, X.com, which is formerly Twitter, and all of his other social media sites. So I had a lot of fun on this podcast today. I was kind of nervous at first because they literally threw me in there last minute. It was very much the last, I think the last hour or so it was decided I was going to be on, and I really didn't know like what was the subject, and they didn't even explain it to me. They just said, hey, we're going to do a podcast about psyops tomorrow, and would you like to join us? And I'm like, psyops? I'm not in the military anymore. I don't do that stuff. So the name of this person is Wayne Peters, and he's a pretty internationally known podcaster, but he's also famous for being in the fight world. And okay, I have to tell you the story of how I met the guy before we get to the podcast. And just so you know, this was not the full podcast. I had to take cuts out of it because their audio did not get recorded on the system I was using because I didn't set it up right. But I was told he's going to send me the full. It's about a 52-minute podcast, or almost an hour. So for this one, I'm just going to take the clips of me talking because we can't hear them. Okay, so when I met Wayne, here's what happened. I was on a YouTube video. I don't remember what the video was about. And some Canadian guy came on there with, screw you Americans, just some real disrespectful stuff. I'm like, Americans really respect Canadians. Like, we would do anything to protect you guys. Like, if you guys got attacked, we would literally run over the border with our guns in hands to protect you. And so you know what? Screw you, F it. If something happens, I ain't helping out. So Wayne saw that, and he came and said, hey, hold on a second. There's a lot of Canadians that love Americans, and we love the American way. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I never heard this before. I was like, okay. So he invited me onto his podcast almost immediately. He went onto my website, my YouTube channel, and he was like, I really want you to be a guest speaker on one of my podcasts. In fact, they made the podcast about me, my work, and what I do. So it's an international podcast. In fact, on this podcast, we have him from Canada, a guy from Great Britain, then myself from California. Normally, I would say the United States, but California kind of is its own country. Just joking. Now, here's the deal. So we connected on Facebook, and I was on his podcast. And a lot of people started coming on like, hey, wait a minute, I know that guy. Hey, I know that guy too. And so I was like, who is this guy? So it turns out he's in the fight world, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, and all that stuff. And a lot of the people that are connected to him directly were connected to me and or my coaches or the president of the IKF or whatever, which I was always been very close to for decades, literally like 30 plus years. And so it was kind of weird. You meet someone on YouTube, don't even know him. It turns out we have all these connections with all these people. So he got a hold of me last night, said, hey, we really need you on the podcast at 3 p.m. I was like, oh, I can make that. But then later on, wait, you mean 3 p.m. California time or Eastern? He goes, no, Eastern. I'm like, oh. So I barely made it, and it was pretty much last minute thing. And the other thing was, I said, well, what's it about? He goes, oh, don't worry about it. Just come on the pod. It's about psyops and something else along to do with influencing the mass populations. And turns out it's everything that I've talked to you guys about on here, on how you get shut down, how they use fear tactics, etc. to shut you down. Well, this is being done on a large scale as well. So Wayne, I believe at any given time there's 15,000 people watching his podcast, and I think he has 300,000 subscribers to this specific podcast, but he's got a lot of other social media that this gets blasted out to. So it's kind of a good experience. Now, my audio is not that good because it was last minute. I haven't done a podcast in over a year, but I mean, you can hear me clearly, but it just doesn't sound as rich and full as it normally does. So Wayne said he was going to send me the whole clip of the entire podcast, which is about an hour long. So hopefully he does, and I can upload that to my YouTube channel. And that's it. Here we go. Okay, so I do have some things I want to add here. So essentially what's going on is, okay, you have a left, right, and lower reptilian brain. So when people access the right brain, that's called the internal brain. I'm going to make it real simple. When you go from here down to here, you're thinking for yourself. Now, what causes you to close off from the right brain is any state of fear, panic, anxiety, feeling bad about yourself. Okay, so there's an artery in the lower reptilian brain. When it experiences fear, it narrows, which means you don't have as much blood up in the skull. Thus, it shifts you over to just being left brain person. The left brain is the external brain. Now, the reason why I say this is because it causes you to look to other people. Well, what do you think? What do you think? And now they're not thinking for themselves. And that's why we're constantly, I believe they even cause conflicts and wars, and the media is constantly about putting people in a fear state. Well, what does this do? It narrows that artery, and thus you're thinking externally, looking to the news media, looking to your leaders, looking to the people in your community. What do you think? And what you just said, it makes people believe, well, we all think the same thing, therefore it must be true. And that's not necessarily true at all. Okay, so here's the thing. We are beyond a shadow of a doubt getting brainwashed. There's no two ways about it. Now, I discovered this way back in the 90s when it wasn't popular to talk about. It was during the middle of this 5-week training in Hawaii. I've been to other trainings before, and I was getting a real strong idea of influence and psychology. I'd been to college for about 3 years at this point studying psychology. And we were specializing, or not specializing, but focusing on how people's unconscious minds works and how hypnosis works, etc. Now, we were doing it therapeutically to help people. But I saw something when we went to lunch one day. I was like, wait a minute, they're using reframes, they're using swish patterns, they're using anchors. Now, okay, sorry, I was at lunch one day. It was in Hawaii at a restaurant. And they had like 10 or 12 televisions, lined up all the way around the bar area. And one of the things that people from New Zealand and I think it was the UK said, like, Michael, you guys have televisions everywhere. I'm like, yeah, so what's the big deal, don't you? They're like, no. And they go, look, why do you guys have 10, 12 televisions in this one room alone? Like, why? And they're all on the same channel. She goes, we heard that every American home has about 2.5 TV, 2.5 televisions. I thought, yeah, pretty much in the main room, usually in the parents' room, and sometimes in the playroom or one of the kids' rooms. Like, yeah, that's true. And they're like, God, that's horrible. I'm like, what's wrong with that? Like, as an American, I didn't think anything was wrong with it at all. So here we are studying how to heal people and how to use their unconscious mind and understand it to where you can help them let go of stuff, such as waking up. Hypnosis really isn't hypnosis, at least not what I'm trained in. It should be called dehypnosis or unhypnosis, because you're snapping people out of their hypnotic trances that they're in, and that's what television does to you. It keeps you in a state of fear. So a couple days after for a couple days they had been telling me this, the people from New Zealand and the UK and Australia, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I never thought of it like that. I didn't know. And then we went into like a 10-day, I think it was 10 or 14 days we went studying NLP, and then we went solely studying hypnosis. And they're teaching us all these different patterns, how to reframe people, how to use anchors and swish patterns, and all kinds of techniques, and NLP and hypnotic techniques. And we went to lunch one day, and I'm watching television. I'm like, oh my! And what it was, we had just learned what was called. Sorry, I had to cough. What's called a swish pattern. It's to help you to break an addiction to something. Okay. So I was watching television. There was a commercial. I was like, holy shit! They used the swish pattern. And my classmates. So we would go in groups about 7, 10 or more, and all our mouths just dropped. And I looked out. Did you guys see that? And they're like, yes. And they're like, look, they just did a reframe. But they were doing this stuff in a way to cause you to be addicted to their product, to their medicine, to their NyQuil, to whatever it is. I thought, oh, you got to be kidding me. They're literally using these unconscious mind techniques to get you to buy their products. What's worse, they use these techniques to convince you that you're sick, and therefore you got to go down and buy WW44D or whatever that medicine was called. And so the commercial would say, It's the cold and wintry season, and it's coming down the road into your home, into your room, and you're going to get sick. And then everyone would go buy this not WD-40, that was oil, but 44D or whatever it was called. And as I was listening, to what they're teaching us, I was like, man, they're using reframing, they're using embedded commands, they're using all kinds of stuff. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So here's the other thing I started realizing, like, they use television to constantly put you in a state of fear. And what this does is it closes down that lower artery and narrows it so not much blood can go into the human brain. Thus, you're not aware. You just use the logical left brain, which is the follower brain. It looks for, well, what do I do? What do we believe? It literally is external, so it is looking for, well, what do we believe as a group? And it causes you to do what's called groupthink. So one thing I mentioned in this video is how we have different levels of, I can't remember what it's called now, damn it. But it's different levels that we survive on. The lowest level is survival, where you're all alone, you're looking for grubs and worms, and you eat grass and you drink water out of the creek with your hands. It's literally survival level. The next level is the tribal level. Okay, that's where they have us at now, because at the tribal level they can control you. Essentially, the tribal level is still another level of survival. It just means now we're in a group together so we can protect each other and we can help each other, feed each other, and house each other. So essentially the tribal level is when we say, okay, there's one king, one leader, and we all do as he says, and the king kills who he wants and does what he wants, and he does whatever he wants, and we all have to do what he says. Now the third level is the Rambo level. This is the level where the person says, screw this, I'm done making this guy rich and not getting any benefits out of it, because that's essentially what happens, is all the masses make this very few very wealthy and very powerful, because we turn our power over to them. So the Rambo level says, screw this, if I'm going to work my ass off, then I might as well do it to take care of my own self. I'm going to go out and leave the tribe and just try to make it on my own, and they become rebels. Now here's the deal, there's two different Rambos. There's the kind that says screw society, and then there's the other side, the police officers and the security people, who they have the same. Have you ever heard that cops are on the same level as criminals? Well, they are. It's level 3. So they are a Rambo, they just happen to be a good Rambo. So now the next level, level 4, it's still a survival level, but it's when the church comes in and says, hey, we're going to teach you how to be good, follow our rules, we'll tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, you're going to go to hell. So there's a lot of threat, there's a lot of fear used, so that now we're at the level where the government and the church works together. And by the way, this is in the book of Revelation. It's called the two little horns, which, yes, represents the devil. When you look that up and what does it mean in the original text, it literally means the church and the government work together to control, keyword, control the masses. Again, this is still survival level, where you're looking to someone else. Remember, the left brain is the external brain, and it's about rules. What are the rules? Externally, tell me what to believe, what to think, and what rules to follow. You're still not an individual. You are following and doing what you're told out of survival. Now, the next level is, I forget the word for that, it's something like the entrepreneurial level. It's basically where you rape the land and reap the profits. Meaning you dig out all the massive mountainside to get to the minerals, the lithium, the gold, the ore, the copper. You make huge profits off of it, but there's a lot of damage left behind. But believe it or not, this is the first level of not surviving. Now you are out of the survival level, which allows you to relax and allows you to open up to your larger human brain, and thus the artery relaxes, and now you can think on a higher level. This is when we begin to truly move forward out of survival and out of fear states. Now level 6 is save the earth, save the whales, save the trees. The problem, see, if you notice, there's a problem on every level, but it does get better as you move along. So the problem with this thinking is there's a lack of reality. There's no reality check. And this can get a lot of people killed and cause a lot of people to die of starvation and whatnot. Now their intentions are really, really good. The problem is they're not dealing with life as as the way it is right now. Okay, we would all love everything to be utopian. That would be beautiful, but we're not there yet. We are getting closer. So the problem with this level is these people that are on this level think, well, let's just get rid of our military. You could put everyone through college up to their master's degrees, literally around the entire world. We could all be educated. Well, the problem is if you get rid of your military, I guarantee you, China, Russia, I don't know, whoever, they're going to come in, they're going to invade, and they're going to kill a lot of people, and they're going to take over, and they won't be nice about it. But these people on this level, oh no, why would they do that? Because they're not on your level. Now, the next level, level 7, is the first truly spiritual level. It's also a level that includes common sense into, well, if we get rid of our military, well, a lot of people are going to die. A lot of bad things are going to happen. Okay, if we can't do this and we can't do that, then we can't feed our children. So on this level, it's seeing both sides of the fence. Now let's go back down to the 4th level, the religious level, okay? Where it's all about religion, where religion takes over. Remember, this is religion. These people do not like spiritual people. They look at spiritual people like, you're going to hell, you're no good, you're not following our egotistical rules. You have to remember, though, they're living in a state of fear. They're like little hens, little chickens. It's the flock mentality. Let's all stick together for survival. It's literally a survival mentality. Therefore, they can't open up to the spiritual level because they're living in fear. People that are living on the 7th level, again, this isn't the last level. This is the first spiritual level. It continues on up, okay? So people on the 7th level, these are the people that have finally surrendered fear and they've opened up their hearts and they're listening to love. They tend to move into love as much as possible. Now, the majority of the people on the planet, and I mean about 80% or more, are living on the 4th level and below. They are still living on the survival, fight or flight, fear level. Shifting from level 4 to level 5, the entrepreneurial level, is a really, really, really hard thing to do. Most people do not want to let go of their fear. They filter everything and view everything through a state of fear, and therefore everything to them is fearful. We must hide under a rock, we must all huddle together, we must all believe the same, and that's it. It causes people like, well, what do we believe? Because when you're in a fear level, remember, you're external, you're looking for the group. Well, what does the group believe? Or what does the leader, the King Tut, what does he say our beliefs are? And we all bow down. Now, people on the 4th level and below, they get really mad at people that move beyond this because, well, they're free. And they're not free, so they're like, well, that's not fair because people on level 4 and below are coming from a state of fear, and that's the either-or mentality. And everything is filtered through either right or wrong. You're either right or wrong, and if you're not like me, well, then obviously you have to be wrong, therefore you're bad and wrong, and you're going to hell. Now, here's the thing about people on the level 4 is they look at spiritual people and they think they're the bad ones, and yet I'm like, and I mean, they will tell you, oh, I don't believe in that spiritual crap. I'm religious. I'm a religious person. I'm like, yeah, well, Jesus and God are spiritual. Their mouth always drops and they always freeze and go, oh, I can't believe they don't say this, but their face does, like, oh, I can't believe I just said that. Yep, you did. How many times does Jesus have to say, it's all about, I'm here to set you free from your burdens, from your worries, it's all about freedom. But religious people do not like that. It's all about chastity. It's all about doing what you're told. It's always all about basically being controlled. So moving into from the 6th, see, the 6th level is a very righteous level. I'm right. It's still kind of that either or, right or wrong mentality. Shifting into the 7th level is completely, totally letting go of that. So the save the whale, save the earth, be a vegetarian, and all that stuff, those people feel so righteous because they are on a higher level than the religious level or the entrepreneurial level. The problem is they only see half the picture. So shifting from level 4 to 5 is difficult. Shifting from level 6 to 7 is really difficult. This is when you it's like that tower moment where all your beliefs come crashing down. And all of a sudden you realize those beliefs were never real. They were false beliefs, or they were negative beliefs, or they're beliefs that were holding you back. It just completely destroys you. Sometimes it can take a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years to truly come back. But when you do, your foundation is built upon truth. It's the cornerstone of truth. It's the cornerstone of your entire foundation. Reference the Bible. And your foundation becomes much, much, much more solid and strong. And now you can think for yourself. Now, to people that are on level 4 and below, this is a threat to them. You don't even have to do anything. You could never actually physically meet them or talk to them, but if they see you across the street, they can see it in your body language. You're smoother, you're more relaxed, you're in the parasympathetic nervous system, i.e. the right brain, and that's a threat to them because you're open. They truly believe, well, we have to conform, we have to be confined, we have to do what we're told. It's like if you were to go, well, why? They're like, they are in such a panic state in the lower reptilian brain. They're in their fight or flight system that anyone that is out of it on an unconscious level without even knowing why, to them is a threat, even though you're not. Now, years and years ago, Tony Robbins, this is way back in the 90s, said everyone needs to learn what Hitler did and how he did it. Okay, so when you study hypnosis, then go read his book, Mein Kampf. It's really obvious. In this video, I talk about it. I don't know if I'm going to get the clip of that on here, but I talk about how when you take a single message or a couple messages and repeat them over and over and over, and you put signs everywhere, it's in movies, it's in commercials, people just blindly begin to accept it as truth, even though it's not. Now watch this.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trying to be responsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous.
Have you ever seen that video where it shows local news people all saying like the exact same thing? That's it.
Push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is fucking scary.
Yeah.
This is the scariest.
Well, that's propaganda.
People, this is brainwashing. This is the exact same thing. The technique that they're using is the exact same technique that Hitler used to take over Germany to get the German people to do what they did. It was conditioned into their system. So one thing I say in this video, again, I'm hopefully going to be able to download it, or I can record it. I think I might do that, the whole thing, and then just upload it. So one of the things I mentioned is how the news media and, movies, TV, television shows, all of this stuff is designed to cause anxiety and stress. So here I am in Hawaii learning about NLP techniques, and these are therapeutic techniques, but they can be used in the reverse, okay? And I'm watching, I'm listening to all these people from New Zealand and the UK and Australia and etc. God, you Americans, you have all these televisions everywhere. Like, it's not good. I'm like, well, what's wrong with that? And here we are learning these techniques, and then after a couple of days after they said this to me, we're out to lunch, and a couple of techniques we just learned that day, literally the hour before we went to lunch. I was like, it's in that commercial, it's in that commercial, it's in this TV show. And we were like, oh my God. When we went back to class, we were so quiet. So finally, Dr. Tad Jane goes, hey, what's going on? So I raised my hand and say, hey, they're using this stuff in commercials. He's like, yeah, I know. Scary, huh? The good news for us is we can see it and we know what it is, and therefore we can essentially delete it and go, oh, that's bullshit. Whereas most people they listen to it, it goes in their ears, they don't even know what's being done. So essentially the work that I've been doing for decades now is getting people to wake up, to snap out of it, to see these things, to know these things, to hear, especially the last 5 years when it comes to narcissist abuse. Narcissists are doing the complete reverse opposite of these techniques. Have you ever heard of a phrase like a knife can be used to make a sandwich for your child, to feed your child, which is good, or it can be used to hurt someone? It really is the intention of the person. So here I am learning this stuff, watching it in live on television at lunch during the training. I'm like, wow, it scared me so bad. The first thing I did when I flew back home to California from Hawaii, I grabbed my television and I threw it in the garbage. And I'm not kidding you. I've never had a television since. Guess what happened? My anxiety went away in like 6 weeks, and I mean gone. About 6 months, maybe a year later, I don't remember exactly, but it was quite a while. My younger sister came over and was like, hey man, where's your television? I'm like, oh, I got rid of it. She's like, what are you talking about? You got rid of it? I go, yeah, I don't want a television. I tried to explain it. She goes, no. Everybody has to have a television. I'm like, why? Now, I'll be honest with you, it was kind of nice to watch TV shows. It's kind of a lazy thing. And she goes, I'm going to get you television. I'm going to bring one of our televisions. And she brought it over like that day or the next day. And guess what happened? My anxiety came back in a matter of days. And that was it. I took it back to her the very next day. Well, not the next day, but after a couple weeks or whatever it was. Maybe it was 10 days. I took it back and I was done. Never again. My purpose for all of this, we are being influenced in a very, 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 very powerful way. They used to use psychology. Now they are studying, and have been for over 30 years, hypnosis, Ericksonian hypnosis. They're using NLP techniques. They're studying all of this. What they're doing is much more powerful than what Hitler did back in the 30s. Essentially what they've done is they've separated you or divided you from yourself, okay? So now you're taking sides. Then what it causes is for you to do this outside on the external world, taking sides out there too. This is what's happened to society. This is why everyone is against everyone. Oh, you're different than me. It's A or B thinking. You're either one of us or you're one of them. And if you're one of them, you're my enemy. That's not true at all. There's nothing wrong with being different. Okay, so I'm going to end this video here. What I did was I recorded the video kind of on an external recording thing, but it should sound good enough. Hopefully he sends me the video before I upload that one. So this video that you just watched will prepare you for that one. It's the whole video, the whole recording, and it's the live audio, and you can hear everybody. Emotional healing gives you emotional freedom. Emotional freedom gives you the ability to be powerful. Freedom to be happy, freedom to love, freedom to succeed, and freedom to live your life to the fullest. My job is to help you heal so you can reconnect with yourself. So instead of being divided within, you can connect within and be at one. So you can set yourself free. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you like this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment, and remember, if you want, you can go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.